Hello, everybody.
Hey, how everybody doing?
We are back with another cold case story or situation.
Reopen.
Reopened.
Case reopen.
And that's why we are coming back with a story that I know you guys have heard of. They reopened the case. I don't know what they're going to do in the reopened case. But we are here to tell you about Kendrick Johnson.
This is a tough one.
You may not recognize that name, but when I tell you what happened to him, you're definitely going to know who we're talking about. Kendrick Johnson was a 17-year-old black male who was found rolled up in a school mat, like a wrestling mat or something. Okay, but first, before we get into the story, I do want to tell you guys that I am very appreciative to what you guys are doing for my channel. You are tuning in, you're commenting, you're liking, but I need you to subscribe and like so more people can see these videos, so more people can be aware of what is going on in our community, and also just to get the word out there, okay?
And hopefully us coming together as a community can solve one of these cases.
Yeah, because I know it can be done. Beautiful. I've seen a lot of cases where social media and YouTubers are the reason that some of these cases have been solved. So
comment, and we'll comment and talk back to you and see what we can discover together as a team.
We are going to comment back.
You're going to comment back?
Because you don't. I told him how y'all be attacking me when y'all don't be agreeing with me. He's like, I'll get on there and say something. He never do.
I'm going to start commenting back. I'm going to start. Okay, watch this. On this video, I'm doing all the comments.
Okay.
This video right here, I got this one.
All right. So, Kendrick Johnson, 17-year-old black male, from Valdosta, Georgia. Went to school one day and did not come home. His mom was very worried because Kendrick is a very responsible young man who normally comes home on the bus after school every day. And if he didn't, he would call his mom to let her know that he was staying at a game or something after school. So this particular day, he did not call his mom to let his mom know that he was staying after school for a game. But because she knew it was a game, she kind of assumed that maybe that's where he was and just forgot to call. Even though that's abnormal, she went along with it for an hour or so. Around midnight, she calling, no answer. She called his dad, no answer. I mean, she called his dad, and his dad had not talked to him.
His dad's a truck driver.
His dad's a truck driver on the road.
He was out of state at the time.
And at midnight, both of the parents, they said they knew their son was dead that quickly.
Because they hadn't heard from him.
Yeah, and sometimes, I'm telling you, parents' intuition, you just know. Sometimes you just know. But they called 911, let the cops know that their son was missing. This is not part of his routine. They know him very well, and they know that he just would not come home. So the sheriff department told them that, maybe he's just out with a fast-tailed girl, and he'll show up in a few hours. Yeah. But he said that he would go check around the school just to make sure. So the sheriff and the mom went riding around, checking around the school. She was up riding, looking for her son all night. Could not find him. No phone ringing or nothing. So the next morning at 8 o'clock, she said that if he was dumb enough to stay out all night and not call his mom, she know he was going to go to school. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to be up there to make sure that he's at school. So she was up at the school at 8 o'clock, letting them know that, her son didn't come home last night. I need to know if he is in his first period class. Kendrick was not. So she's sitting around at school all day, calling the police, trying to get them up there to do something, because at this point she don't know what to do. And she sees ruckus in the office. Like everybody's talking and screaming, like, oh my God. And she's just freaking out because she was like, okay, what's going on? So a counselor came through there and said, she said, did I hear what I think I hear? Like, she thought she heard them say they found a body.
Yep.
And she said, yes. They found a body in the gym. And she said, is it my son? And she said, yeah. Just like that.
Just like that.
Who ID'd him? I mean,
Just
the school
like
counselor. I mean, I just thought that was not, it was no care concern.
That's not professionalism.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, I could be wrong. Cause I would have answered and said, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Or we're checking into it, you know.
We'll see. Even if I knew for sure it was her son,
I wouldn't want to be the one to tell that to his mom. But 2 girls at their gym hour. That school has 2 gyms. They have an old gym and a new gym. Kendrick was found rolled up in a gym mat the next morning by 2 students. They said they were going to pull out a mat and saw 2 socks or feet hanging out the top of a mat. Kendrick was 5'10",
5'10", right? 5'11",
5'10",
okay.
19-inch broad shoulders. Was supposedly said by the police that he climbed on top of a bleacher.
Okay.
Dove into the mat looking for some shoes and got stuck, suffocated, and died.
Now, what you got to hold on to is that they said he's reaching into the mat to get his shoes. Now, that's important.
Right.
That's a very important detail, that his shoe is in the middle or the bottom of the mat.
Right.
He's reaching to get it.
So, common sense to me,
that's important,
would say, if I have, say, paper towel, an old paper towel ring, right? If I want something that's on the bottom of the paper towel ring, would I try to, because that's the width, I'm assuming, the difference between the mat and my whole hand going down into a paper towel ring.
Okay.
So my hand going down into a paper towel ring, the mat in this case was 14 inches wide as far as the circle of the inside of the mat was rolled up tight. Kendrick's shoulders measured 19 inches. Okay? So how far do you think a 19-inch shoulder can get into a 14-inch width?
If it can get in there. If.
I don't think it could.
I don't think it could either. But just hypothetically saying.
Right.
It's not going to go all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah, so far that your whole body gets in there and gets stuck and can't get out.
And you can't wiggle and somebody can't see your legs.
Yeah, for hours while you're still at school. Like, that made absolute no sense. It was an old gym, but the gym was still in use. It wasn't like, it was like almost the off period where kids would go to play basketball or just hang out in between classes. That's where they would go. So this wasn't like every period there's a PE class. It's just a chill, everybody go through there to get to the next class. So how many hours? Or he just maybe wasn't there at the time of school. Yeah. I haven't came up with that conclusion of what could have happened with that. But at this time, the mother was there. Kendrick's older sister and aunt were at the school, and his mother is hysterical, and she is just in awe, like wanting to see her son so bad, but the police would not let them see their son or identify him. They took a picture of the shoes that were tucked behind his knees inside the mat and showed them to the sister, and that's how they identified Kendrick. I still don't think shoes tucked behind somebody's identification, but that is what they chose to do. Hours later, when the dad came home, which hours later is the next morning actually, they let him come to the examiner's office to identify his son.
And when they pull him out, they keep dead bodies in freezers.
Right.
So it preserves everything so they can look at the evidence, and because if the body's hot, it's going to deteriorate, right? And it's going to start stinking and all that. He says when they pulled it out of the freezer, it wasn't cold, it was hot.
Yeah. It was like they had his child in a furnace.
He said it was hot, it was warm. He said unzip the bag, open the freezer, and it was warm, it was hot, air came out, it was not a freezer. And anybody knows anything about bodies or anything about meat, you have to keep dead meat cool.
Mm-hmm. And they did not. He was almost in a heater or a furnace.
Cooking them. Keeping them warm.
Killing every piece of evidence.
Any kind of evidence that you can find.
They needed. And before, I feel like they had a chance to do a proper autopsy, they had ruled his death, trying to think of the word, asphyxiation.
Death by asphyxiation. I think they said
yeah.
I can't say.
I think it's death by asphyxiation, which means that you were put in an uncomfortable position that made you basically suffocate and die.
And they said he did it by reaching. Now this is important. By reaching in the bottom to get his shoe.
Right.
Whenever they examined and looked at the body, he had been there for so long, all of his fluids had leaked out of his body. Blood, urine, water, all of his fluids leaked out of his body. But remember, he reached in there to get his shoe, right? But there was no fluids on the shoe, but there was fluids all over the floor.
Like, that is so weird. Like, how did that shoe get there with nothing on it? Like, nothing touched. So no part of the shoe. He
reaches in to get the shoe that's in the bottom of the mat.
You suffocate and die.
Suffocate and die, and leaks out all the blood and fluids out of his body. However, when they unroll the mat, there's no blood on the shoe. No fluid on the shoe, but all over the floor.
So they ruled that no foul play and death by asphyxiation.
Then, when they examined them, we get to the examination?
Well, but that was a year later.
Okay. No, when they first examined him the first time, when they looked at him, his fingernails were cut.
Well, that was by the second pathologist.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So the second pathologist, which, because they didn't do all that checking. All they did was okay, so let's get to the second. I'm sorry. Let's get to the second.
So the first one, they just ruled it death by asphyxiation.
So the parents wasn't going, honestly.
So they buried him. They buried him. They had the funeral. They buried him. Case is closed. Now, how long?
As far as the government goes, the case is closed. So months go by, and the parents decided to hire their own pathologist to do another autopsy. Okay. So they exhumed the body, and when they exhumed the body, they found
his fingernails are clipped to bruise. All his fingernails are clipped down to a bruise. Oh, baby, we forgot to mention this. When they unrolled him, he was like this, and his face was beat up real bad.
He had bruises all over his face.
His jaw was like, I won't say broken.
This was not recorded.
He was beat up.
This was not recorded in the report at all about the bruises.
He kind of looked like Emmett Till.
He did.
He like Emmett Till. That's how his face looked, like Emmett Till's.
That's what they compare him to.
You're right.
And his mom had him an open casket, just like Emmett Till's mom.
Just like Emmett Till's mom. That's powerful.
Because she wanted people to see
what
they did to her baby.
Because it's impossible for... Hypothetically speaking, let's just say he did die by falling in there trying to get his shoe. Why is his jaw bruised, his eyes bruised, his nose broken and stuff like that? I won't say broken, but why is it like he been beat up?
Yeah. So the second autopsy proved that he did not die by asphyxiation. Okay, so the second pathologist proved that the weight of his lungs, according to the first autopsy report, that the lungs were recorded to have been 250 millimeters, I think it's millimeters in weight. And because of that, that means that he wasn't suffocated. Had he suffocated, his lungs would have been filled and they would have been at least 3 times the weight of a normal lung. But when they wanted to go back and measure the weight of the lung, they couldn't because
everything was missing.
All of his organs were missing.
His tongue was missing, and all of his organs, his esophagus, I think esophagus,
brain,
all of it was missing. It was stuffed with
newspaper
ads, coupons and stuff.
So I did not know this, but normally when you die, they do autopsy on all of your body, all of your organs. And they put them in a plastic bag, put them inside the body, and send them to the funeral home, and they do whatever they do at the funeral home. They buried the body with no organs in there, which is illegal unless they're an organ donor and decide to donate every organ that they have. But Kendrick was not. And even if he was, his organs weren't viable.
So the question now is, how did all this stuff happen? The father is the white kid's father. We haven't
talked about the white kid's
father. No, we ain't talked about why this happened.
We gotta say it first before we go to the father. We're gonna do a lot of editing on this video. Okay, so the parents were just at this point not convinced about this being a death by asphyxiation because of the 2 exhumations that they had of the body and the 2 pathologists that had the same report of this no way being death by asphyxiation because his lungs were not filled. And also he had a big bruise, and the pathologist ruled that his death was death by blunt force trauma. Yep. They said the bruise on the side of his jaw and neck looked like he had been hit with a weight, like a dumbbell or something. That's what it looked like. So he ended up, the father and the mom end up investigating, doing their own investigation, asking kids and students, and something just wasn't sitting well with them when they heard an interview of the students, and a guy and his brother that Kendrick had got into a fight with earlier in the year said that they were best friends, and his mom automatically knew that they weren't best friends. That they had so most of the time when somebody commits a murder, they run their mouth, and eventually they tell somebody. So the parents got an anonymous tip that 2 boys, which we'll call them the Bell brothers, were involved in the death of Kendrick. Kendrick had fought one of the Bell brothers earlier that year because Kendrick was involved with one of the Bell brothers' girlfriends. The Bell brothers are white, and come to find out that their father is an FBI agent.
In this town of Georgia, what's the name of the town?
Valdosta, Georgia.
It's very
racist.
Very racist. They have a bridge there where they used to hang black people. So,
and this town is known for that.
I believe they hung so many black people there, and that bridge is called the Hanging Bridge.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah, that's what they call
it. So it's very racist there. It has a history.
Right. So the FBI agents of this town were alerted of what was going on, and they felt like the city and the family members of Kendrick felt like it was a big cover. So when the parents figured out that their father was an FBI agent, they noticed how all the officials were bagging out, everybody changing their story, retiring. Nobody wanted to be involved, and they contacted DC.
One of the guys who did the autopsy has said one thing and then changed the story and said, do not play that interview. And
Right.
changed his story. He said, do not play that interview what I said. And he changed his story.
So I just feel like so much corrupt things were happening, and so did the family. They got the Department of Justice out of DC to investigate because they felt like it wouldn't be a fair case because FBI is everywhere. And they moved the case from Georgia to Ohio and to DC, and now it's back in Georgia. And it took 2021, a few months ago, for this case to get back opened again.
Yeah. This boy, this body, Mr. Johnson, has been resumed out the ground. Is that how you say that? Exhumed out the body out the ground twice.
Right.
And he was beaten. It was covered up. This is not good.
Yeah.
We need some justice for Mr. Johnson.
That's right. So, I don't know what they're going to do with reopening the case. I don't feel like you can reopen a case without them having some type of evidence towards something. And if those boys did that to Kendrick, it's going to come to light. So.
Oh, baby, we forgot to say this. He comes into the gym like at 1 o'clock, right?
Right.
And then there's like a 2-hour window on all the cameras.
Yeah.
There's a 2-hour window on all the cameras, around 2 hours or so, that just so happened to disappear.
Right. It's no footage.
There's no footage from like 1 to 3 or something.
Right. So
1 to 4 or something. No footage.
I think it was 1 hour actually.
Oh, 1
1 hour missing from 1 to 2.
Even if
it's just
10
like
seconds missing, that's wrong.
And that's too long. So you got every hour of their day except for that 1 hour where they have Kendrick running into the gym at around 1:10, and they don't have
nobody sees
nothing
after
else.
that. So I wonder how did it happen? Did somebody lure him into the locker room? I mean, how did they kill him there without being seen?
I don't know.
And without any witnesses or...
Well, I've heard about how the kids and the students that were there were threatened by the father.
Okay.
And their father had a lot of power. Okay. So if he didn't want nobody talking, nobody in that town wasn't talking. Okay. Yeah, you're right. So of course, if they're, I don't want to say that, but people stick together with their own. I'm gonna say that.
Honest, but let's call a spade a spade. In that town, in that history of the town, I mean, what else is you to think? Anytime you have a bridge that's called the Hanging Bridge, right? I mean, how do you expect anything to go right there if the ways haven't changed and the mind frame haven't changed with the people? So, if it happened that way, we're not saying it happened that way, but if it did, I mean, it just looking like.
Yeah, I just know that I don't feel that Kendrick climbed on top of a bleacher, jumped inside of a 6-foot mat when he is 5'10", and sat in there and just died without trying to kick your way out or fall over. I feel like Kendrick was rolled up into that mat and they stuffed those shoes behind him.
First, he was beat up first,
and killed.
Yes,
beat up and
killed,
or
put in there alive still.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think he was put in there alive. He could have been
unconscious. You know what I'm saying? Knocked out.
Well, yeah, unconscious.
And died. You know, thought he was dead. He could have been unconscious and just probably never woke up.
Yeah.
You know,
that's definitely possible, and I can see that happening. But I don't see that child jumping into a mat when you 5'9" and the mat is 6 feet.
5'10" and the mat. Yeah, that's crazy.
That doesn't make sense. Like, you didn't try to fight your way out of
it. Yeah, he didn't roll
or
over.
Scream and holler when you know people were in the gym.
At the end of the day, there's he punched himself in the face while he's in there. Right. Come on. He punched himself in the face. He cut his own tongue out.
I pray that
justice for Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, that they figure it out.
Justice for Mr. Johnson.
And they don't let that slide. And knowing that somebody is a witness and just too scared to say something, you can't do anything with somebody calling anonymously telling the parents what happened if they are too scared to come forth and testify.
You're right.
So,
and hats off to Mr. and Mrs. Johnson,
right,
for standing up for justice and not giving up on
right. So this happened in 2013, and they are still fighting in 2022 to get justice for their child.
And she had the casket open. That's powerful.
Right.
I saw her talking on the camera. She's talking with power. She's talking with a victorious voice. Mm-hmm. Like she's not giving up. Like she ain't quitting, even though what's happened. So hats off to Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson and the family for standing up and staying strong, because I've heard that a lot of times when death happens to a child, that's hard for a couple to stay together.
Right.
And so that's hats off for them for doing that too.
Yeah. All right, guys, that is the story of Kendrick Johnson. I would like you guys to tell me what you guys feel about it. Do you think that it was possible that Kendrick just climbed into the mat and couldn't get out and suffocated and died? Or do you actually think that if not the Bell brothers, that somebody rolled Kendrick up in that mat unalive?
Well, let's ask the question like this. Do y'all think Kendrick climbed in there and bit all his fingernails off, punched himself in the face, pulled his tongue out, took his shoes off and put his shoes behind him, and then bled to death and died? Right. Inside of a space that's 14 inches and 14 he's 19, so he had enough 19. Room to do all that. So y'all think he did it like that? I mean, that's how they're saying it. Yeah. That's what they're saying. That's how ridiculous it sounds. So y'all let us know what you think. Let us know in the comments what you think. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will be back next week with another unfortunate situation. And we're going to do a food segment later on this week as well. God bless. All right. Peace out. Bye, guys.